Hey everyone, Harold Fisher here, anchor and host of the Daily Drum on WHUR. Welcome to another edition of HUR at Home on WHUR.com and all of our social media platforms. Tonight on HUR at Home, we take a look at keeping girls of color from sliding into crisis situations. My guest is Siobhan Davenport. She is president and CEO of Crittenton Services of Greater Washington. Siobhan, thank you so much for joining the conversation.
Oh, thank you for having me, Harold. It's a pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. Let me first start with your organization, because it's been around for more than 100 years, but there may be some people who obviously are not familiar with it. So what is Crittenton Services?
Certainly. So Crittenton Services of Greater Washington, as you mentioned, has been around for 133 years. And it started as a home for unwed mothers and has evolved to an organization that now serves mostly Black and brown girls in Washington and Montgomery County. And we empower teen girls from 6th through 12th grade to achieve their goals, overcome obstacles, and resolve challenges in their lives. So we work with our young ladies throughout the school year. Our program leaders meet with them weekly and develop what we call a close sisterhood circle, where the girls are, I had one alum share with me that she may not have liked everyone in her group, but she loved each and every person. So they learned skills like goal setting, conflict resolution, leadership skills, and we employ trauma-informed practices and social emotional learning skills as well to help our young ladies to become better engaged in school. And we're very proud to say that 87% of our young ladies do graduate from high school. And from that, 97% graduate from high school. And from that number, 89% will pursue a higher education or workforce development program.
So where do these girls come from? How do they become affiliated with your organization?
Certainly. So the way we identify our young ladies is through our partnerships at our schools. And so we invite young ladies to be a part of Crittenton Services of Greater Washington. No one is required or demanded to attend. And our program leaders, when we would meet with our young ladies and explain the program. But our best advocates are our current teen girls. They're the ones who will go out and share with their friends and family members all of the great skills and the ability to communicate effectively and having that trusted adult in their lives that they can share any and everything with.
Mm-hmm. When you talk about girls of color in crisis, what first comes to mind, and what are some of the critical issues that you are trying to address first and foremost with so many of them?
Certainly. So when I think of girls of color in crisis, I think about the systemic issues that are going on today, whether it's racial, gender, economic, educational issues. So our young ladies are facing many challenges, and we're a girl-led organization. So we address the issues that they tell us that they're facing. Girls have shared issues of bullying. They've shared adulting skills that they are accumulating at younger and younger ages. And the pandemic has made their challenges even greater, where our girls are telling us that they're helping younger siblings and other relatives log into school where they're neglecting their own work to care for others. So our young ladies are sharing with us the systemic racial injustices that they are experiencing. And so what we try to do is empower them to advocate for themselves, advocate for each other, and advocate for their community.
No, please go ahead.
Yes, I was just going to share that with the pandemic, we've held two town halls where we've invited leaders in our city and leaders out in Montgomery County to attend. And the girls have been able to talk to our leaders about the issues that they're facing. When we think about the pandemic, we think about the K-shaped economy. There are those who are doing well, they're adopting puppies. And then the girls that we serve and the communities that we're in, the challenges are very real just for the essentials of what they actually need.
How have they said that the pandemic has impacted them specifically? What do they talk about?
Yes, our girls are very open and very clear on what their challenges are. They're very open about the mental health challenges that they're facing. We have done a check-in with our young ladies and a survey. They've shared with us increased depression, lack of concentration. They're very much concerned about their schoolwork, whether or not they're going to advance to the next grade. They're concerned about their families. They have parents who've lost jobs or who've had hours drastically reduced. 25% of our girls are still identifying food scarcity as an issue for them. They're concerned about the just not just having Wi-Fi, but having the right Wi-Fi to be able to study. One of our young ladies said to us that there are times when she has to switch from using a laptop to using her cell phone, and her teachers are just not understanding the difficulties that they're having accessing school at this point.
So, how does Crittenton Services address that, particularly during the pandemic, where businesses, nonprofits, self help organizations, churches, everyone has had to adjust? And when you're talking about connecting with girls in crises, the distance has to present a particular challenge to you serving them.
Absolutely. We're used to being face to face with our girls as other organizations are. But I really have to commend our program leaders and who are completely dedicated to our girls. They are, when we don't hear from a girl, they will find that girl. Whether it's texting, getting on Snapchat, Instagram, wherever it is that they can find her and her friends, even enlisting them to help find our young ladies, they do that. So I think the intensity of care that we've always had, we've had to increase that. I had one program leader tell me that the girls' school schedules are so erratic right now
Yeah.
that it's difficult for them to even remember when our group meets. So she says, I'm texting 4 times a week, reminding the girls that we're meeting on Tuesday at 3:30 p.m. So the program leaders are really instrumental in maintaining those connections. And then, as you mentioned, we were an organization that met our girls at school. We provided lunch and snacks. When the
Mhm.
pandemic first occurred, we had to pivot. Our girls were texting right away, talking about their needs. And if you remember, at that time in March of 2020, toilet paper was gold. And I was literally in Costco finding toilet paper so that we could deliver it to our young ladies. So we pivoted, and I really applaud my team for doing that. And until the district and Montgomery County services were available, now we're able to connect our girls to resources. We have hired 2 resource coordinators who are actually not only just collecting data, but actually making contact so we can have a warm handoff for our families who are still in need of rent assistance, who are still in need of perhaps, as I mentioned, food, who are in need of job assistance and searching for jobs. So so the families that we serve have many needs, but we are adjusting and pivoting to help meet those needs and connect our families to the resources available.
You described something called adulting skills at an early age. What did you mean by that?
Yes, there's been research with our Black and Brown girls in particular, and they are expected to take on additional roles in the home that young girls would not be expected to have, such as caregiving. to younger siblings and even to older relatives. Our girls have shared with us that don't have a real high school experience because they have to go pick up a little one from another school, go home, cook, clean, do laundry, those types of things that prohibit our girls from really enjoying childhood and experiencing the innocence of childhood. So that is a real concern for us, particularly during the pandemic. We call it now the care economy, but we also need to include our Black and brown girls in that. They may not be getting paid to care for relatives, but they are expected to and are stepping up to care for relatives.
So how do you provide balance for that? Because that's not a new thing. And it's not something that was necessarily brought on by the pandemic. That's as old as brown and Black people. So how do you provide balance between an ideal childhood and the realities of life when they come?
Absolutely. And I think that's where our curriculum comes into play. We address those kinds of issues with our young ladies. And what we try to do is remember that they're still girls. And I remember when we could all meet in person and our seniors we had asked them, do you want a dinner to celebrate graduating from high school? And the seniors said, no, we want to go to a water park. We want a day where we can just be girls and have fun. So we try to remember that and keep that first and foremost in mind as we are interacting and providing support for our young ladies. But you're right. The reality is that some of the adulting skills and caregiving skills fall on our teen girls. So we try to provide them as much information, factual information as we can to help them as well.
Well, I'd like to ask you to provide us with some information about connecting with your organization, a website or the like, for those who may be interested in your resources. So please share.
Oh, absolutely. So you can definitely find us at our website, which is crittentonservices.org. Crittenton was the gentleman who actually funded the organization, but he did it in collaboration with a woman and who was a physician, Dr. Kate Waller-Barrett, who came up with the idea of providing social services for unwed mothers. So you can find out more information there. And we'd love to have people connect with us. There's many resources on the website as well, especially during the pandemic, to connect families to the resources that are needed.
Well, Siobhan Davenport, President and CEO of Crittenton Services of Greater Washington, thank you so much for spending some time with us. And we salute the work that you've been doing and continue to do for our community. Thank you again. I appreciate you.
Oh, thank you so much, Harold. I really appreciate it. And happy Black History Month to you.
Oh, thank you. Same to you. That is it for this edition of HUR at Home. I'm Harold Fisher. And as always,